All right, everybody, what is going on? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. It is the start of a new month. So, our first video of this month is going to be discussing the month that was and the month that we hope to have going forward. I like to do these state of the channel videos every month on the first, just kind of review where things have been and look at where things are going. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. So May was a relatively simple and straightforward month because we're past the action, right? We are now officially past the point where there's significant football stuff happening. The draft is kind of digested by the time you get to the start of May. May, for the most part, is about talking about the draft, and that was one of the main things we did. Made a bunch of different videos talking about the Seahawks draft picks. And those videos obviously are intriguing and interesting in their own way, but you have to be a very particular kind of fan to really be particularly moved by that kind of stuff. You have to be the kind of fan that really wants to get into what makes these players notable, what makes them stand out, what makes them potentially good, what makes them potentially flawed. So even that kind of stuff, while it's great, and that was what we did for the early part of the month, that stuff doesn't necessarily hit as hard as some of the more broader, overall, big picture stuff that we do on this channel. So it was a lot of that. And then we did the schedule. That was the one major event that happened this month in football. The schedule got released mid-month. I made several videos talking about that. I did a stream talking about it with the Hawk's Nest. Broke down the way in which this schedule looks like it's going to play out. Broke down the nuances of when matchups are set. Prime time versus not prime time. Home versus away. The basically trying to find the setups, trying to find the positive stretches, trying to find the rough stretches. So we definitely got plenty of stuff out of that. So always good to have the schedule release. And we also did some assorted other things concerning the Seahawks team, like the sale. We did a couple videos talking about them being sold and the new developments on that front. We did a couple of videos looking back at the draft, like the article that John Boyle wrote. He did his annual article on that. We talked about potential contract extensions, talked about some drama with former players, Dante Fowler. So there was a pretty good amount to talk about, but obviously we're in May. We did get some OTA sessions, and I don't know if we're going to get much from the OTA sessions this week, if anything. Not even sure if we're going to have those OTAs. So that's a little bit, but obviously that's not really going to drive a lot of action here. And overall, the main things that actually happened with the team were the Dante Fowler signing, which was nice, but we also had the Irvin Charles trade, and Irvin Charles is a player who is not necessarily guaranteed to make the roster. So stuff happens. Nolan Teasley got hired away. We signed all our rookies. DeMarcus Lawrence confirmed he's not retiring, but it's scattered here and there throughout the month. And right now, I think a lot of people are unplugged. So it was a good month. I was happy to be able to make as many videos as I did, and I discussed all the things I wanted to talk about, but it's still May. If you like sports, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using the Prize Picks app, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, and obviously we are now firmly into the NFL offseason, so we're all about baseball. We got some basketball, we got some hockey, whatever it is you like. Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. Definitely make sure to use the promo code HMA. Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you use that promo code, that is HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far, so definitely get on over to it, check it out, and make sure to get your lineups. And don't forget about Team Picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So download the app now, use HMA, and get on over to Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. Eclipsed 150,000 views for the month, which is nice. That's actually kind of maybe even a little bit better than I would expect for a May like this. So getting over 150,000 is great. Basically stagnant on subscribers, though. I think we literally picked up about 10, maybe 15. I haven't picked up subs in dead off-season months in a couple years now, so not terribly surprising. But good month overall. Made over 50 videos. Also did some Mariner stuff, by the way. Making Mariners videos now. Made a few of those in the month of May. Made some videos about division rivals. Made some videos about some things to look forward to for the 2026 season without getting too specific yet. But yeah, it's another month. June will probably be a little bit slower if we're being honest, because I think some, if not all, of the OTAs this week get called off, but maybe not. So June, let's talk about June a little bit here, because this, and maybe this won't end up being the case, but generally speaking, I expect June to be the slowest month of the year, unless you count maybe February in a season where your team doesn't play in the Super Bowl. So we're here in June now, and we are going to get some work on the field. We might get OTAs this week. I don't know if they've been canceled or not yet. We're going to get a mandatory mini camp in about a week and a half. But the thing is, the drama of the mandatory mini camp is partially resolved because every player on this team has already showed up to the offseason work. So we know nobody's holding out. I guess that could change, but it seems very unlikely. So maybe we'll get some insights based on field stuff. Maybe we'll get a sense what to look for in terms of, like, maybe if there's a right guard battle or a safety battle or stuff like that. But even if we do get a read from that, we're not going to be able to trust it. We're not going to be able to say, okay, we can draw this conclusion because we saw Bud Clark playing more than Ty Okada in mandatory minicamp in June. That's not very reasonable. That's just not going to happen. So working with what we have to work with, there's not going to be that much to get into that's new. What we are going to do throughout June is discuss hypotheticals. We're going to have some videos talking about things that may happen and whether or not they should happen. We're going to talk about the future. We're going to talk about draft stuff, because the Nolan Teasley signing by the Vikings obviously changed things a little bit, and I do want to get into that. We're going to talk about some of the players on this team that I think are heavily, what they do this season heavily impacts whether or not this team will reach their expectations. I'm probably going to do a prediction series, and that's going to be most of June. And then there are going to be some Mariners videos. July should be a little bit better, because July is going to actually have like training camp, and we should be getting a consistent flow of information every day. But in the meantime, unless there's a Myles Garrett trade, and that is something I'm probably going to have to explore because that is starting to heat up a little bit, or there's some kind of I don't even know. I guess a Max Crosby trade could still happen, but that seems pretty unlikely. Maybe we sign somebody like a Cam Jordan. There really isn't that much out there that can happen that really pushes people, other than maybe a Witherspoon extension. And it seems like the Witherspoon extension will happen in July. June doesn't seem like a very likely outcome here, if I had to guess. And again, we're all just guessing here. We don't know for sure. We don't really know this stuff. But yeah. So that's really all I can say about the YouTube side of things. May was a good month. We did the thing, but not a ton of action. People, I think, are kind of hitting the snooze button on the Seahawks right now because we got baseball. Mariners are playing better. And let's face it, we just won the Super Bowl. People have the right to kind of sleep in a little bit on off-season stuff because, number one, who cares? We just won the Super Bowl. And number two, John Schneider just won Executive of the Year. So clearly he knows what's up. We don't need to monitor this stuff. I think that's the mentality on some level. I don't agree with it, obviously, but I can understand why some people would definitely be like, all right, we're cool right now. We don't need to micromanage every little thing and get upset about every little thing that happens. Other than that, like I started streaming on the YouTube channel. So by the way, some of you guys know that I stream on Twitch, and I did start streaming on Twitch again this month a little bit. I've been very busy for a couple months, so I really hadn't streamed anything in a while. But I've done a few streams of The Witcher 3 now, and those streams are now being broadcasted to YouTube, my second YouTube channel. Well, not second, but my other YouTube channel, SBN Gaming. Also streaming on Twitch, Seahawks Brendan Nelson or Seahawks BN over there. And it's Seahawks Brendan Nelson on Twitch. And then also my Kick channel. So I'm now streaming on 3 different platforms at once. And I think what's going to happen is I'm slowly going to start migrating over to YouTube full time. Or at least that's going to be the primary platform, because things on Twitch aren't going that great. So I want to start working on YouTube, possibly primarily. The Twitch thing is just, I don't know. It seems like things are not going terribly well over there. But we did get in a few streams of The Witcher 3, and that is going to be our big project for the summer. So June, July, probably going to be grinding on Witcher 3 pretty much every time I play something. Because I definitely want to get through that, because that's a big project, and I started it months ago, and then I had to put it on the back burner. It's a great game. I like it a lot, but I got to get further into it, and I got to push through. I gotta commit to it, because that's a game where it's very easy to kind of lose motivation and decide, there's just too much here. I can't figure this stuff out. But that's going to be the main thing going forward for a while. So apologies to anyone that likes variety, but I want to clear the deck of The Witcher 3. I don't want to play through that long hanging over my head. So that's what's going on the gaming side. Not really too much else to talk about. That's just kind of what's going on. So that is the state of the channel. Great stuff. But here we are in one of the slowest months of the year for football action. All right. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. And maybe I'll post another video later. Maybe not. But maybe we're in June.